Guys, so I'm pretty much gonna go on a road trip for work, and I just got myself my rental car, and I'm gonna show you what I ended up getting. So at first glance, not too bad. I ended up getting a Toyota Avalon. When you come around here, it's not a bad car until you look inside. It is dirty as heck, not taken care of. The fuel wasn't even full on the car. The tire pressures were absolutely off, and the worst part about it is seats are dirty, which, I mean, I'm expecting a nicer looking, cleaner car, but look at this. And there's a baby bottle on the back driver's side. That's really gross. Oh, and look at the door. It's just absolutely disgusting. Thankfully, they're nice enough to replace the car for me. It would have been a nice drive, but yeah, hopefully we could swap this out for a newer one or a nicer one. That's exactly where I came out of, closest place near my place to get a rental, and they ended up giving me a Mazda CX-9. We'll see how this one turns out. Already at first glance, much cleaner, nicer, smells newer, and a lot cleaner on the back. And all the seat cup holders are nice. So, alright, so I finally finished my 6-hour road trip that I had to take up to Wisconsin and back. Last week I was in Denver, Colorado to do another work trip, and that time I had a Ford Explorer that I had to drive. This car is a Mazda CX-9. So after owning a Model 3 for almost a year, I've realized a few things. Number one, the speaker system is superior to any car I've driven so far. I have the Bose speaker system in this CX-9, and I tried to fine tune it as best as I could, and it just doesn't compare to the Model 3. The buttons on the steering wheel, there's just so many of them. I'm so used to just the two scroll wheels. It just makes life so much easier just due to the fact that they're multi-function use scroll wheels, and it's just, for simplicity's sake, it's a lot easier. As far as the dashboard goes, I have a screen as well as some buttons and a scroll wheel here, and it ended up being more annoying than useful, because in a Model 3 or any Tesla that you usually sit in, the center screen pretty much has everything you possibly need in a car. But if you are driving with a rental car and you've never driven a rental car that you have gotten, no matter what car it is, you just don't know the buttons that are on the car. You pretty much don't know where anything is in the car. So while you're driving on the highway, or you're driving on side roads and you're trying to heat up your seat, or you're trying to just turn on the AC, or whatever it may be, you're pretty much playing a scavenger hunt, trying to find which button to hit just to use the function that you need for the car. Funny thing, so as any car, they all have handles in them to open the door, which, I mean, that's very normal. But for my Model 3, I keep reaching here to try to press the button, only to realize that the handle's right here to open the door. So that's a funny habit that I keep end up getting. As far as gear shifting, it's down here, you know, for the Mazda CX-9. Some cars have a shifter right near the steering wheel. The Model 3 has the shifter right next to the steering wheel. And what's really annoying for all gas cars, or majority of the gas cars that I've driven, is windshield wipers are on the right side, and your turn signal is on the left, which stays on the left-hand side in the Tesla. But as far as your windshield wipers, that is also on the left-hand side. So as far as the CX-9 goes, it actually has a heads-up display, which is actually quite nice. I almost wish that Teslas had heads-up displays, but it's more of a want than a true need. So on the Model 3 screen, you pretty much get all your warnings as far as the car being next to you, your speed limit, your cruise control, and some of those small features in the CX-9 is shown in the heads-up display. Kind of nice, but it's not that necessary for a Tesla. So one feature I have in this car that I don't in my Model 3 is just a push button to be able to close the trunk. Sometimes when you have your hands full, hitting that push button is very, very nice. Another thing is I'm not used to carrying a key fob anymore because my key now is my phone. So every time I walk up to my car automatically unlocks itself and I don't have to worry about it. But if I forget a key for any other car, then I can't get in. So one thing I want to show you guys that Tesla pretty much has this figured out. There's a button on the screen where you could pretty much see your surroundings of your Tesla. But one thing that Tesla does not do, which I kind of wish they would be able to implement, is pretty much when you go into reverse, you have a full surrounding of your entire vehicle. So pretty much already have all those features, but in this case, it's kind of built into one screen as if you could see a top view of your car. And so this feature would just be nice to be added into the Tesla screen if possible. Also, a really funny habit that I've built in the Model 3 is the fact that when you get in your car, you are able to just shift gears and drive. There is no starting your engine, but obviously here you have to hit that start button. So as far as the seats go in this car or any other car, bigger SUV cars tend to have more comfortable seats. But I've actually driven my Model 3 on a road trip for 30 hours straight, not including charging, and my legs would never fall asleep. They are super comfortable. I've never had to shift myself in positions in areas that would pretty much get my blood flowing through my legs again. They do a great job engineering those seats specifically for comfortability. And if you really want to see what it goes into building those seats, I would check out Sandy Monroe. He has really good videos on how they manufacture the Tesla cars. When driving, it's pretty much in the middle of winter and the temperatures range between below freezing and slightly above freezing. It is definitely really nice to be able to just turn on the heat in your car of this rental car, as well as the heat for the seats, because if I were to do that in my Tesla Model 3, the range would substantially come down because anything in that Model 3 uses that battery pack. Here, you have an engine, you're able to use the heat coming from the engine to warm up the cabin of the car. So that is something that's nice to not have to worry about or think about not owning a Tesla. So as far as any car, you pretty much have the mechanical movement to be able to move the airflow in the car. But in a Tesla, you pretty much touch the screen and be able to move up or down with your fingers, and you could control the driver's side and passenger side airflow in the car, which is really nice. Here, you pretty much have a few vents where Tesla has the whole panel of the dashboard being a vent. The lane keeping feature that most cars have, if you start going into the dash lines or onto the shoulder, it will vibrate and let you know that you're there, and it'll swerve you slightly into the lane, but nothing beats the Tesla Autopilot / FSD beta if you end up getting it. That's one feature that Tesla has that I absolutely love, is to be able to just go on a road trip, drive without having to worry about keeping myself in the lane or doing any sort of driving at all. Obviously, you have to pay attention, otherwise you get notified to tell you to pay attention to the road. But FSD is something that you just can't even compare to any other car, which I almost wish every car would have as far as long road trips go, because it just makes the drive so much easier. One obvious thing that this car doesn't have that the Model 3 does is regenerative braking, which makes driving a lot easier. But I pretty much covered the majority of my thoughts. The only other thing that most cars are starting to implement is that being able to have full control of your entire car from anywhere around the world with your phone. Tesla can do it, but some cars are starting to implement that, but they're not as great as the Tesla app that we get as Tesla owners. So now let me know if you guys would much prefer a car that has a ton of buttons, that looks luxurious, or just a simple screen that the Model 3 has that you could pretty much control your entire car with. If you could, drop a like down below. Please subscribe. That would help the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you guys next time.